Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
All right. You ready?
Ready.
All right. Hey there, it's Michael Zinn with the live stream of consciousness. I'm here live at the Empowered Path Expo's Wellness and Psychic Expo in Plainview at the Holiday Inn. But I'm recording this interview with Robin Landau from Marconics, who's going to tell us all about who she is and what she does. But I'm excited. I had a session earlier. I felt little tingles and it was awesome. So let's welcome Robin Landau to the live stream of consciousness. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael. It's really a pleasure. I'm glad we're finally getting to do this.
Yeah. It's interesting. I meet a lot of people who I'm like, oh, I've got to get you on my show, and it doesn't happen until like 6 or 8 months later. But finally, we're having you on the show, so I'm excited. And I actually got to enjoy a session with you that I want to talk about. But since this is a recorded version of my show, and this is more like my show than the live thing we did today, I've got to ask you the prerequisite question.
Okay.
You weren't prepared for this, but are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is consciousness?
That's a great question.
I know.
Consciousness, from my perspective, is just higher states of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a lot of programming over eons of time, actually, that has interfered with that, being able to tap into that higher states of consciousness, higher states of awareness. Mm-hmm. And now energies that are intelligently designed to activate this dormant spiritual DNA in order for us to get into those higher states of consciousness. Because that's really, when you think about ascension, which is what Marconics is an ascension energy healing modality. So different than something like Reiki or anything else that actually has been on the planet prior to 2013, because we understand that 2012 was that shift in consciousness, right? When the Earth repositioned itself on the galactic plane, there was a great awakening that occurred on the planet's surface. Okay. And as a result of that, and the positioning of Earth and all the other planets in the system, new energies became available to us to help with this activation, because we knew that this experience in free will universe one is over. And that's what the Mayan calendar prediction of the end of the world meant, was the end of the world as we knew it, as we were shifting in that paradigm shift from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius.
Wow. So if I'm getting this right, you're telling me Marconics is a newer energy on the planet.
Yeah, it's only been here since 2013,
wow.
And it's here to assist us.
Wow.
Because it was seen, those of us in the light worker community prior to 2012 that knew that 2012 was the time where we were going to make this big leap into higher consciousness. We really did think we were going to hold hands and jump through together and sing Kumbaya. Right. And then, of course, that didn't happen. And that didn't happen because the collective consciousness, the collective, didn't choose it, because this is a free will universe. You need to choose this. And so Marconics came in as a plan B to assist the collective in just pushing that needle over into our favor, right? Because part of the requirements for higher ascension is you need to clear at least 51% of your karma from first inception, not just from this lifetime. Because if you understand, Michael, that 3D is closed, right? The 3D version of our planet has asked to go higher for repair, for healing, because when she got hit with the atomic bomb at the end of World War II, she lost thousands of years of quantum energy, which is what is needed to go through these incarnational cycles.
Wow, I had not.
Yeah, so that's why we knew about what was happening in 2012, and you have to go back to 1980. In 1980, 7 when the harmonic convergence. I don't know if you know about the harmonic convergence, but there was I was in college at the time, and there was a day in August where people around the world would we all meditated for the coming online of the crystalline grid. And the crystalline grid, think of that as this morphogenetic field that's around the planet. And that was coming back online because it's been dormant. And so we knew in preparation from 1987 to 2012, we knew that we were preparing the planet, and we were supposed to be able to clear enough karma in those gates, right? The 111 gate, do you know about the January 1st, 2001, and then February 2nd, 2002, and all the way up to 12/12/2012. We had all of those Stargate opportunities to clear karma, and we didn't do it enough. So Marconics came in as that plan B to kind of pull off that Band-Aid, to accelerate that process, to get the planet, the majority of the planet, the light workers anyway, in that position so that we can, so love conquered fear. So then COVID happened, right? And we know that Corona means crown. And we know that that was divinely orchestrated to help another round of people to get in position to clear more karma. And then after 2012, you can 2021, after COVID, we considered that event horizon. And when that all settled, you now can see at these events, and I'm sure you've seen them in your own work and people that are on your show, that there's another wave of awakening that's occurring. And we're in the second wave of this ascension. And Marconics started out as a redemption mission, and those of your those that are listening that understand that we've had an experience on Tara with the Atlantean and Lemurian experience, and this was really just a repeat of that. And now we're finally able to move on from all of that. We're able to heal ourselves in a way that we've never been able to before, because what we're moving to is one of free will, which is what we just completed, to one of divinely inspired free will. So imagine you taking all of the best of your human experience, your 600 to 900 lifetimes just in this universal structure, healed, right? All those archetypes are healed, and you clearing that karma and merging that with the best of your divinity, those aspects of you that fractaled out for you to have your experience here. Because we understand that there's a version of us in all of those dimensions, those other 11 dimensional those dimensional cycles and bandwidths within that. So we know that there's 144 petals to this, and you need to pull and merge back in all of those other aspects of you. And it's us, you and I speaking here, that are landed in this 3D to have our 3D experience. We're the boots on the ground because we hold the chakras, we hold the stargates, and that's how we, talking about consciousness or higher states of consciousness in the higher dimensions, that's how we move through time and space, which is what we weren't able to do. So where Marconic started out as a redemption mission of all of those lost souls from the Atlantean and Lemurian experiment, and the Mars experiment and the Venus experiment, right? All of those experiments were failed.
Right.
And those grid systems shut down. And now we get to not only in healing ourselves, we are also healing the past where we came from, so that we have a new future to go to. Because if you understand that time is not linear, it's this upward spiral, but we weren't able to move in that upward spiral because of the phase locking that occurred here. So now all of that's breaking away. So we go from this free will experience to a divinely inspired free will. And that's the new experiment. Imagine making only the highest choices without fear.
So interesting. So this divinely inspired free will is almost like the best, like is it only the good?
We don't judge it as good and bad.
Okay.
So here's the thing.
Right.
So you use the word sovereignty, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so we understand that ascension, the geometrical shape of ascension is the triangle. And I love that you have that in your little logo stuff. And you may not even understand why, but the pyramid or the triangle is because there's a lot of at the bottom, right? And then as we go up towards that apex, there's less and less and less because this is a choice.
Right.
And so we're not going to get everyone at that level of divinely divinely inspired free will
Right,
sovereign beings. But when people talk about, you know, that we're all one, right, it's true to a point. We're true until it's not, because we're not all part of the same ooey gooey oneness. When we talk about sovereignty, it's about healing all those aspects of you, clearing that 100% of your karma, just like Buddha, Jesus, Kuan Yin, all the ascended masters did. And it's very hard to do it here unless you're living on a mountaintop and not have to speak to another human being.
Right.
So that's why, you know, something like Marconics helps to accelerate that. It helps you to get above that chaos or fear, so that you're making those higher decisions.
Right.
And as you go up that Jacob ladder style of ascension, then you're able to integrate those other aspects. And so, you know, the sovereignty part, it's not everyone's choosing it.
Right.
And because this is a free will universe, you have to ask for it. It's not for everyone.
Right. Interesting. So you just gave me so much.
I know. We'll probably have to have another conversation.
I want to unpack it a little bit, but okay. So let's go back to the harmonic convergence that you talked about. What signified that? In other words, I guess what I was thinking as you were telling me about that, like you're aware of the harmonic convergence. I wasn't really aware, but in my head, I was thinking of some sort of celestial event.
Yes.
Was there a celestial event?
There were lots of them. Yes. So you have to understand, after the atomic bomb hit as World War, that's when, like, if you read any of like Dolores Cannon stuff, you know, the 3 waves of volunteers and stuff like that, it came in waves. So the 40s were the most difficult, right? That's when it was the most density came in here. And so we had the indigos that came in first to help, you know, and the philosophers and all of that. And so those events combined with, there's always celestial events occurring. And those events happen to help activate the dormant DNA, because we're electrical and magnetic, and so is the planets. The morphogenic field of the planet is also electrical and magnetic. But the thing is, Michael, what people don't understand is that this Milky Way galaxy was created in a system of phase locked, and it's failing. It's running out of quantum energy, and it's eventually going to supernova. It has to, but we don't know when that's going to happen. And so there's been a bifurcation split that's occurred as a result of that event horizon when COVID happened. And so there is one agenda that's a AI human cyborg kind of agenda, and then there's the organic matrix agenda, or living light matrix.
Okay.
The magnetics, when the planets in the Milky Way galaxy were formed, the magnetics were hidden in the core of the planet, which is what gave us our gravity. And the electrical was on the planet's surface, which is why it was such a very patriarchal society. And one of a lot of wars and competition. And that's also when the gender split occurred, as well as we're in duality here. So you need the good with the bad. But from the higher realms, it's not judged as good or bad. It's just the richness of the experience, right? Because we get to be creator destroyer. But with egos out of balance, which is how this system was created on a karma wheel, we have been duped in a way, and we have been hijacked. And that's why there's so many fear programs happening. So if you think about the financial institution, the political, the religious, the educational, it's all been hijacked, because religion was created to help us make those higher choices.
Right.
And to think that you needed 10 commandments, there should have been 10 commitments. To think that you have to know not to kill someone is, you know, kind of, when you think about it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But we lost our way, and we lost our way because of the veil of amnesia. We forgot who we were. We forgot that we were multidimensional beings before this experience, and we were dumbed down. And in that dumbing down process, the chakras were nipped and capped and plugged, creating those conical trumpet shaped chakras that most healing modalities work with. Marconics works with the multidimensional light body, where the chakras are not just spheres, but they actually fit into each other like a series of nesting spheres working together as a single unified organ. So as you're clearing your karma, you're not dealing with first chakra, second chakra. It's just clearing because we're done with the stories.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's where we say that it accelerates. You can get there, but you're limited. You're limited because I can get into the science, but maybe we should save that for another conversation. But you have to understand that it's based in 10 base math. So Fibonacci spiral, it doesn't include 0 point. So it's not really going to anything. It has to, it depends on what's in front of it in order to keep consuming to survive.
Interesting.
As opposed to the crystal spiral, which does include 0 points. You're always returning back to self. You're always going back to neutrality before you. That's why you're able to spiral in the upward. So it is, and when you understand how this system was created in a system in fall, in Val, then you'll understand that it's the inorganic matrix, and you need to go higher and align with the living light matrix so that you can eventually, whether it takes 1 lifetime or 200 lifetimes, but you have to anchor yourself outside of this universal structure to return back to the organic point of origin, your original universe of origin.
So again, you've like made my head buzz with so many questions. You talked about in order for I don't know exactly the way you put it, but part of the ascension was to clear your karma, right? And you said you have to clear 51%
at least.
Now that's an individual, right?
Correct.
Now, and you also said something about the collective and we are all one, which I'm not really sure where you sit with that or how that aligns with some of the things I subscribe to. But is there, in order for the planet to ascend and make that leap, is there...
The planet's ascending with or without us.
Okay.
She doesn't need our help.
Okay.
She doesn't need us to, she knows exactly what she's doing, and she's purging, because everything in the core of the planet we put into her, from our misfirings, from us operating from a place of egos out of balance. So she is being gracefully waiting for us, because what's different about this ascension cycle is we get to ascend with the planet, which has never been done in the history of the universe. So when 3D closed, we're all in this 4D corridor. Think of that as a corridor between 3 and 5.
Okay.
And there are 7 bandwidths within that corridor. Now, also keep in mind that within the 4D dimension is where heaven resides and where the angelic realm also resides. And as you know, there's a lot of fallen angelics. And also understand that angelics are not Christed beings, which means they don't have chakra systems. They don't take form. They're etheric beings. And there are a lot of angelics who are trying to hijack their human counterpart to take over the chakra systems, because that's how we're able to move through space and time.
So in order for them to do that.
So that's why it's very dangerous right now. So not to step on anyone's toes here, but there, when you're a medium and you are connecting with someone that passed over, you need to lower your vibration into those lower gradients of the 4D corridor, and that's where they're just lurking. They're waiting for the opportunity to hijack a soul carrier.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's very interesting. And I was going to ask you, and you got me thinking. You really got me thinking. Obviously, I'm here. We're here at this expo, right? So there's a community. There are people, and I know for me, I've certainly seen it growing and growing and growing, right? So there are more and more people who are coming into this awareness of, oh, I have this psychic ability, or I have this extra perception. And I kind of feel like, from what you're saying, like that could be dangerous.
No, it's for everyone to align to. No, it doesn't make one person more special than the other. Everyone has the ability, but it's dangerous only if what we're saying through Marconics is there is no more middleman. It's you with the Godhead.
Okay.
you don't need to be channeling anymore. That's very 3D,
Mhm,
if you want to
mhm,
think of it
mhm,
like
mhm,
that.
mhm.
We are so above that now. We are the as this DNA gets activated, the spiritual DNA that science is calling junk.
Mhm,
When that gets activated, you are getting more than the 5 or 6 senses. We have 36 plus senses,
mhm,
and our auric fields, our morphogenetic
mhm,
fields that are
mhm.
they say are this 5 or 6. It's this egg shape
Yeah.
becomes a 30 foot or more complete round sphere around our field.
Mhm.
We are so much more, but
Sure.
we in the dumbing down process, we lost the connection to us
Yeah.
at the Godhead.
That brings me to some of the other things I was thinking about. You mentioned to me earlier, I don't think in this conversation, but you mentioned earlier about the rise and the fall. We've had 7.
We failed this 6 other times.
Right.
This is the 7th and final
Right. And
attempt.
I'm imagining part of that is you were also talking about Atlantis and Lemuria, right?
Lemuria.
Lemuria.
Mhm.
Now, again, I'm not very deeply versed in some of these studies, but I do know, from some of the things I've come across as far as ancient versions of humanity were not the same as our physical form today, right? We were more light beings. Is that
Well, it depends on which timeline that you're aligning to. So we
okay?
understand that Earth is the 3rd dimensional version of our planet. And
Mhm.
then we had our 5th dimensional version on the planet when we were also on Tara. And then
Okay.
our 7th dimensional version of our planet, which was Gaia. And
Okay.
so, but you have to also understand that we have a universe of origin, which is we're in the Milky Way galaxy, but the universe of origin was in Andromeda.
Okay.
And we were having an experience there, and with egos out of balance, that grid system got destroyed, and we fell from there
Okay.
to here, having to a 7th, went from 9 dimension to 7th dimension, and then we screwed up again.
Wow.
We dropped to 5. We were on our way to 7 again, and then we dropped to 3.
Wow.
And so when you're talking about the light beings, yes, we were these light beings when we were on those other timelines.
Okay.
And that's what we're returning back to, because the 3-dimensional experience in Free Will Universe 1 is closing.
Mhm, mhm.
And you need to crawl out, and you need to
Okay.
save yourself, and no one is going to save you.
Okay.
There's no one in this room that has, you have to,
Sure.
it's,
Personally.
and that's why when you go back to this all one, it's not, because you have free will.
Hmm.
And so we're all existing in the same room, but everyone in this room is operating at a different timeline, right? Different state of consciousness, right? So we're not all in the same. You can't put that. And so this is something that you're either returning back to a 5th-dimensional track, a 7th-dimensional track, and now we have the ability to return back to your point of origin in the universe of Andromeda to a 9-dimensional track. And the difference is, Michael, is that we get to go with our memories intact. So when that's what's happening, this is the new experience of divinely inspired free will.
Okay, I get
is
it.
that you don't have to come back in with the veil of amnesia.
Right.
But that is only happening if you can align with the living light matrix. If you align with the phantom matrix, this AI human cyborg agenda, that's mimicking a lot of what the living light matrix has, then you're going to get caught up. And that's where the danger is that this is something that we have to be able to flex our discernment muscle, which is a lot of light workers are not taught to do.
Right. Yeah, I hear that very often. And it's you're bringing up some really interesting stuff about this community and about this moment, right, where you're hearing a lot of people coming into these new abilities, but not necessarily knowing how to navigate that.
Yes.
Right.
And you know what? None of it's wrong.
Right.
Let's just be really clear when there's no judgment in any of this, because we're all coming in at different inception points, right? The newbies that are just waking up, and they need to find their way, and they're going to follow their piles of breadcrumbs.
Right.
But those of us that have been on the path for a while, or just know that something just doesn't feel right, those are the ones that align with Marconics, because it's already in their DNA and they're just remembering it. They're just remembering.
Right.
And that's that Marconics is definitely not for everyone.
Right.
But it's for those that are choosing a higher ascension, because
Right.
everyone's ascending whether they conscious of it
Right.
or not.
Right. And I think what you mentioned also kind of is not just Marconics, but the idea that we all have everything, right?
Yes,
Already,
we're not broken.
and we're not broken, and coming back to that, right? So I guess what I'm thinking in my head here is back to that question of these rise and fall of civilization, right?
Oh,
And-
right.
and
That's
not-
where I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah, let's circle back with that. So
Yeah.
you know why our early, like Egyptian, is so rich in our early, social studies and
Uh-huh.
stuff, because that's where we came in. So we started out as the hairy barbarian, right?
mhm.
That's the human 1.0 version,
Right.
and then we came in when Tara's grid system got destroyed, and we fell from the 5th to 3.
Mhm.
We came in during this early Egyptian times, and the Pantheon came, these light beings that you talked about, came in as the first wave of volunteers to help us. And it was a failed attempt, because when they got here, and for them to survive in the density, that's when our chakra systems got nipped. That's when the dumbing down happened.
Okay.
And then they got trapped here, just like Buddha and Jesus and Kuan Yin and all the other ascended masters. We all got trapped here, and we needed time to incubate the light, because when we fell from Tara, a lot of us, there wasn't enough essence to fill in a soul carrier, the meat suit, right? The human 2.0.
Right.
And so that's when all the hybridization started to happen. And that's why you talk about, you have Arcturian and all these other, there's 2,500 plus in the Galactic Federation of
Right,
different
right.
light beings.
Right.
And so we're all just a bunch of mutts in essence, right? But we don't want to align with one particular lineage, because we're so much more than that. Now we
Okay.
get to return back to our connection to us as the Godhead, which is where we were severed, we were separated from that. But now that this experiment is over, we succeeded, we get to return back to that. So it doesn't matter what your lineage is anymore. It all gets healed. And like I mentioned at the beginning, you and I that are speaking to each other in the meat suit that carry the stargates within our chakra system are the boots on the ground. We are the anchor.
Right. Wow. Interesting. It's
To return
a
back
lot of
to
pressure.
Not really. So once you understand how
It
this
just it's going to happen.
yeah,
regardless
it's going.
of-
Well, but you have to choose it, and there
Sure.
is some assembly required,
Sure.
and there is no magic bullet. But the first step is to return your light body back to that multidimensional configuration. Do you know what the Merkaba is?
Yeah.
So those that don't know what it is, the Merkaba is our light body. That's how our consciousness travels into the higher realms.
Right.
Like when you go to sleep at night and your consciousness leaves your body, you're doing that through your Merkaba. And we've been working with that Star of David, the double star octahedron, right? Or tetrahedron. And now we're moving to the quantum Merkaba, which is the double octahedron, which is more of a diamond shape as opposed to the two triangles. And when you activate that, then you get to reach avatar consciousness, right? Have you heard about avatar? Oh, that's a good conversation.
Oh, yeah?
Michael.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
just know that, so you've seen the movie Avatar.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there, so we, the higher self that we came in to orchestrate or govern our experience here is the higher self that's in the 8th dimension.
Okay.
And if there are 12 dimensions that make up this matrix, that leaves 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you understand that they're made in harmonics of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What we need to achieve first is to integrate back the higher self that we came in with in the 8th dimension, right? And then that leaves us with the next triad in 10, 11, 12, which is avatar consciousness. So think of higher selves and oversoul is really the same word depending on where you're aligning to it, okay?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So what the new experience is, the one going to divinely inspired free will, is we're becoming our own oversouls. Our oversoul gets to graduate.
Right.
Great job, guys. Now you get to have your new experience, and we
Right.
become our own oversoul, so we don't need the middleman.
Hmm.
And so that is what avatar consciousness is. It's your
Oh, that's true.
avatar. It's you in the higher realms.
Right. Wow. So let me ask you a question kind of related to that. Do you feel like we are being given information through things like the movie Avatar?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
In the movies, The Matrix,
Yeah.
all the Star Trek movie, all
Yeah,
of those
yeah.
sci-fi, Superman,
They're
the, you know,
based with in
all of them
reality.
are like little seeds to then activate this dormant DNA, the
Right.
memory that there's so much more than this.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Interesting. I want to wrap this up because I want to let you get back
Of
to your
course.
thing. And there's just so much to unpack, but I definitely want to have you
I'd love to.
on my show. And I think probably a few times
Great.
because there's a lot of different topics here that I love to talk about. I love to explore, different aspects of humanity that are not talked about, at work or at the shopping center.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And here's the interesting thing about this is that there's no type of person that's attracted to this. It's the seekers.
Mm.
It's those that are just want to know more. They want to have an understanding. Because how do we make choices and decisions if we don't even know what the choices are,
Right.
and we don't know what the information is? If without all the information, it's very hard to make those kind of choices and decisions.
Yeah,
And that's why you need to get back into that driver's seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the message is perfectly aligned with what I always talk about. And again, the idea that everything is based in energy and an
Yes.
energy exchange, and the idea that you and I intentionally both sat in these seats exchanging this energy. That's beautiful. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much.
Yeah,
This was
yeah.
really wonderful. I mean, I could talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
and
you-
I
you
could
know,
listen. I could listen all day. So
I've always known, like when I first met you, that this is, to talk to someone that has an understanding, or at least a little bit, is
yeah, I would say
always
a little. I would
more.
say yeah.
But you're asking some great questions.
Cool.
So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. Wonderful. So Robin Landau here, talking a little bit about Marconics. I didn't put this up, but there it is, marconics.com. You can find out more there, as well as an upcoming episode. We're going to talk about it. We don't have it on the calendar yet, but we will definitely put it on the calendar. And we will be talking more about this. Robin, thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here.
Michael. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome. Bye, guys.